Do you remember that Nellie's world was nearly melting away to nothing? She didn't realise that her iceberg had drifted so far north that it had crossed the equator. She was more than halfway round the world. Her icy home was now so small she could barely stand on it. It wobbled too, as if it might tip right over at any moment. Nellie was worried. But then a strange thing happened. The weather grew colder day by day. One morning Nellie woke up covered in frost. Then she spotted another iceberg, and another, and another. At last she saw land, and it was full of snow and ice. "I'm home!" Nellie shouted. She hopped onto land and looked around for her big penguin family. She searched everywhere, but she couldn't see a single relative, not even small Ma or small Pa. Nellie wandered about sadly until she found a large white rock to sit on. It was like a warm, furry cushion. Nellie pushed her chilly feet into the soft surface. "Oh!" Nellie cried, as the rock got to its feet, lifted her into the air, and she slid off. Nellie found herself staring into the dark, black-as-night eyes of a very large polar bear. Nellie looked at the bear's big mouth and flashing teeth. She saw the bear's huge paws and long claws and took 2 steps back. "Who and what are you?" the bear demanded. "I'm a penguin," Nellie said bravely. "My name is Nellie Choc. What's yours?" "Hungry," the bear growled. Nellie managed a smile. "That's an unusual name," she said. She was too scared, but she tried hard not to show it. "I haven't eaten for 3 days," the bear went on. He leaned towards her and sniffed. "You smell of meat," he said. "I like meat." "Meat is bad for you," Nellie declared. "Vegetables are much better. If you want to be healthy, you should eat vegetables, green stuff." The polar bear looked around at the endless snow and ice. "Pfft," he grunted. "I can't see any green stuff. No vegetables in the Arctic." He bent over Nellie and sniffed harder. "I'm sure some will come along soon," Nellie said brightly. She inched towards a small hole a seal had made in the ice. She stood at the edge and peered into it. There's green stuff in here," Nellie pointed out. "Really?" the bear growled. He sighed, stumped across to the hole and looked. "I can't see any green." "It's down there at the bottom. You need to get closer," Nellie told him. The bear peered more deeply into the hole. Nellie crept behind him. Just as the bear muttered that he still couldn't see any green, Nellie leaned all her weight against the bear's back. She pushed and pushed with her feet. "Oh!" the bear cried as he toppled into the hole. He plunged headfirst into the water and right away got stuck as his large tummy became wedged in the hole. All Nellie could see was his bottom and his back legs waggling madly in the air. A frantic gurgling bubbled up from below the ice. "Nellie Choc!" But the little penguin had already disappeared. Unfortunately, she had run away so fast she had no idea where she was. She was completely lost in nowhere land. "I'm lost and I'm hungry," Nellie told herself. "I don't have a map, so I'll try and find some fish to eat first." She hunted around for a seal hole that didn't have a polar bear in it. Soon she spotted a small lump of snow that kept moving about. That was because it had 4 legs, and, bad news for Nellie, it was an Arctic fox. "Well, hello there," said the fox. "What plump, yummy thing have we here?" "I'm Nellie Choc," Nellie said stoutly. "I'm a penguin. I'm looking for my family. Small Ma and small Pa, my brothers, sisters, cousins, aunts, uncles." "Stop!" the fox cried. "Too much information. Anyhow, you won't find them here." "I won't." Nellie's heart sank. No, the fox shook his head. "You're a penguin. Penguins live at the South Pole. This is the North Pole. You're a long, long way from home. 12,430 miles to be precise." Nellie almost fainted. "I've come that far," she whispered. The fox picked at his teeth with one sharp claw. His tummy gave a low rumble. "I can help you find your way back." The fox smiled. "Really?" "Oh, sure," the fox said. "Head for the ocean and then go south. Simple. I've heard that penguins can swim. You can't fly, can you? I mean, you can't take off and escape. Sorry, I don't mean escape. I mean, what is there to escape from here? Nothing dangerous. It's not like I want to eat you or anything crazy like that." The fox gave Nellie a very innocent look. The look was so innocent that Nellie felt alarm bells jingle all over her. She didn't know much about other animals, but she did know what meat-eating teeth looked like, and the fox had a pretty snappy set of them. Nellie looked around. There wasn't a seal hole in sight, and it's hard to run away from a fox when you've got short legs and massive flippers for feet. Oh dear, what was she to do? "If you could show me the way to the ocean, that would be very helpful," Nellie said. The fox cheered up. "Of course. Follow me, please." Have you noticed how polite that fox is? You see, even when someone has good manners, it doesn't mean that they are a good person. Nellie had better watch out. So Nellie shuffled along beside the fox, and he looked at her and licked his lips. Nellie felt rather like she was about to be somebody's dinner, and she wondered how she could escape. Soon Nellie and the fox came to a seal hole. The fox had a good drink. When he had finished, he turned to Nellie. "You have a drink too," he told her. "Don't worry, I'll keep watch right behind you." Nellie knew that as soon as she bent down to drink, the Arctic fox would jump on her and grab her. Her brain was working hard on a plan. Nellie went to the seal hole. Just as she bent down to drink, she saw the fox move towards her. Quick as a flash, she dived into the hole. Down she swam to the bottom, but when she looked back up, she could see the fox's head peering into the hole, just waiting for her to come back. Nellie began to swim up the seal hole. Faster and faster she went, zooming up and up through the water like a tiny penguin-shaped rocket. Then whoosh, bang! Nellie exploded out of the hole. She knocked the Arctic fox flying. He somersaulted backwards, 23 somersaults in fact. That's probably a world record for a fox. You could look it up in the Big Book of World Records. Nellie landed back on the snow. The Arctic fox was out cold. Nellie hurried on to the sea, and suddenly there it was. A vast grey ocean stretched out in front of her. 12,430 miles to home. Could she really swim that far? No. Nellie sat down. She thought about how she would never see her family again, and great big tears plopped onto the snow at her feet. As Nellie gazed out to sea, she saw something thin and dark on the water. At first, she thought it might be a man far away. Then something big and black came out of the water, and Nellie decided it must be a man with a suitcase. But then the water boiled and foamed, and a submarine popped up on the surface of the sea. Poor Nellie! She had escaped a polar bear and an Arctic fox, and now a killer whale had come to get her. She fainted on the spot. Of course, you know it wasn't a man with a suitcase or a killer whale after her again. It was the very same submarine that Nellie had seen before. Rear Admiral Captain Beardybeard looked out of his periscope. "My goodness me," he said to his crew. "There's that penguin again, the one we saw at the South Pole. How on earth did she get here? We'd better take her home to Antarctica." And that is exactly what they did. Some of the crew sent emails to their families. One said, "Dear Mum, we've rescued a penguin called Nellie Choc, and we are taking her back home. She is cute, except when she poops on my lap. Lots of love, Charlie." And there we are. What an adventure for a small penguin. Nellie Choc became famous overnight. Newspapers had headlines like this: "Penguin found at the North Pole." Nellie was even on TV. But Nellie's adventure was not over. You see, on the way back to Antarctica, the submarine had to stop at all sorts of places, and Nellie got into quite a lot of trouble. So did Captain Beardybeard. But that's another story. And that story I'll read to you next. Bye.